crazy. How you guys doing, man? Okay. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up? What's up? Say hello to Bill. This is Bill Calhoun's Facebook Live, bashing all the brain and body bullshit. Folks, I had to come over to this platform. I was getting ready to use a different platform. Yeah, I know the video stopped. Come over here. Come on over to this side, people. The video stopped because I can't see you guys asking me questions in there. So that's the reason why I'm coming straight back to Facebook. So can you just type in there whether or not you're hearing and seeing me, okay? Go ahead and let me know. Let me know, let me know, let me know, okay? All right, aside from that, I'm just gonna go ahead and continue, assuming that you guys are right there, because I'm coming off of, I'm coming into my page off of my normal profile, okay? And Billy's here with me, and he's going to be my editor-in-chief while I go along this, okay? So, can you guys give me a shout out? Are you there, okay? Are you there? Because I'm not seeing anything on a troll. I'm gonna go into my other site, and just to make sure that you're receiving me, okay? So give me just a moment here. In the meantime, this is Bill Calhoun's Facebook Live, and we're talking about body. Yes, Nick's here. Okay, great. So you guys are on board. This is fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. So people should be coming on. Claire is going to be our guest today. However, Claire, what we're going to do is, since we're not going to be coming in through the other platform, I'm actually going to click onto you when you're in here on my page. So when you come in, I can have you join. We can ask you some questions, and then we'll get started. Okay. In the meantime, we're going to get straight down to our questions. Okay. So I hope everybody's here. I know there's a lot of confusion, folks. I'm just working my way through the software, so just be patient with Billy and I. Okay, because we're trying to make sure that the whole world can see everything that they need to see and get those questions answered. So sometimes it takes a little bit of technological mumbo jumbo. Next week, we're going to be set, because I'm working with some individuals on the tech side to make sure everything runs smoothly. Okay? So let's get started. Oh, before we get started, make sure you're following. Make sure you click the like and the wowie face down below so that other individuals can follow, and so that you can get updates on all of my future podcasts. Right? Okay? Got that? Okay. Now he doesn't really get it, but I just wanted him to be here so that you guys would feel comfortable talking to me, and I'd feel comfortable talking to you. Okay? So anyway, yep, we got people coming on. So here's what we're going to do. First things first, I'm going to start answering questions. Remember now, this is all about, I don't know if did I type that in there earlier? I didn't, but it's okay. This is all about all of the fat fuck-ups, okay? And all the myths. And I have a couple of questions, and I'm going to give you some information. So we're just going to zip right along, and then we're going to be talking to Claire from Fitness Rations, okay, in just a bit. So the first question comes from Marcus. And Marcus, his question was very simple. He just asked, Bill, what's the deal with fat, okay? And I just went crazy with that, because that is one of the biggest questions that people have in terms of what's this whole thing about fat. So first of all, let me dispel a couple of myths here about fat before I get into actually getting some of the, the sciencey kind of stuff. Not too sciencey, just straight up raw and real. Take a look at this, okay? Billy allowed me to use these, and so the only way that he would allow me to use his toys today was if he could sit in on the Facebook Live, so that I didn't do anything wrong to his pets. Well, what could you do, right? And it smells like saliva because he's always chewing this stuff. So anyway, okay, you can have these back later, okay? I promise. I'm sorry. We've got to make a point here. We got to make a point. Okay, so anyway, folks, take a look. Now, you look at the gray elephant, and you look at the Ninja Turtle. Let's just talk about fat for just a moment. Now, the elephant appears bigger, it is bigger than the Ninja Turtle. So the Ninja Turtle is ripped. It's got muscles right, left, and center. The elephant, on the other hand, has a large amount of fat. So let me ask you something. Which one of these do you think weighs more than the other? Okay. Now, chances are you're saying to yourself, well, obviously, Bill, sorry, I didn't mean to cover up Billy's face, okay? Obviously, Bill, the elephant weighs more than the turtle because the elephant is bigger. Okay, I'm getting to the fat thing here in just a moment. Just humor me, okay? Because the size, right? I know, get it in just a moment. But here's the thing, folks. They both weigh the same. Now, how could that be? Because muscle is more dense than fat. Okay? However, when people say, well, muscle is heavier than fat, no. I mean, if you're talking about 1 kg, 1 kg is 1 kg, never, whether or not it's fat, whether or not it's water, whatnot. You can't change that, folks. Those are the laws of physics. However, the density of a particular object is the thing that you want to think about. In other words, the density of muscle is smaller than the density of fat. Notice how I said smaller. So think about this for just a moment in terms of how does that relate to you and your clothing? Because what people do is they get on the scale all the time. They're not thinking about fat, they're thinking about weight. And that's one of the things that I need to bash with you folks, okay? Don't think about getting on the scale and thinking about weight. Think about fat. So how do you measure fat if you don't get one of those fancy weighing scales? You don't need to go out and buy one of those. Here's how you do it. Look at this elephant and look at the Ninja Turtle. Now, let me bust a big myth for you here. So let's say, for example, that you're saying, Bill, I'm losing weight, but the scale keeps sticking where it's at, or it keeps climbing. So think about this, the Ninja Turtle. I'm going to put the elephant down for just a moment, okay? Okay, so this Ninja Turtle, what if this Ninja Turtle weighed 1 kg and this elephant weighed 1 kg? If we had 2 Ninja Turtles, that's 2 kg, correct? But we won't change the elephant. We'll keep the elephant at 1 kg, and then we multiply the ninja by 2. We put 2 Ninja Turtles. What does that mean in terms of weight? That means that now these 2 Ninja Turtles together are going to weigh what? 2 kg, right? The elephant still weighs 1 kg. So what happened? That means that when these 2 characters stand on a scale, the 2 Ninja Turtles are going to be heavier than the 1 elephant. You follow me? However, think about you in clothing. When you put on clothing, so if we take 1 Ninja Turtle and put it behind this elephant, and then we put another one behind it, chances are these Ninja Turtles, if there's 2, will still never take up the volume size of the elephant. Are you getting that? So in other words, what's going to happen is on the scale, here's the thing, if you're weighing yourself, on the scale, if you have 2 Ninja Turtles, which means that they're thinner than the elephant, you have 2 Ninja Turtles, you're going to weigh more on the scale. But that doesn't mean that you're gaining fat. Do you understand? Because the volume of fat is larger than the volume of a Ninja Turtle muscle. So if you put 2 Ninja Turtle muscles, you have 2 kg, you still have 1 kg of the elephant, but which ones look fatter? It's still the elephant, okay? So when you're in your clothes, when you're gaining muscle, you may still be gaining weight, but you're thinner. When you're gaining fat, you're gonna be wider. Do you understand? So the key in all this, you want to go lie down? Okay. The key to all this, folks, is not to think about the weighing scale so much, but to think about the volume of your body. So you have to use a tape measure. When you're using a tape measure, you'll be assured that the weight scale will not draw you wrong, because this is fat, this is lean tissue. That's the big thing, okay? Fat is really important to understand. When you're fat, you take up more volume. When you're lean, you take up less volume. But when you're on a scale, you may weigh the same or gain more when you get leaner. Do you understand what I'm saying on that, folks? That's really important to understand, okay? So let me leave that for right now, and let me get on to Marcus's question, okay? I'm sorry, that was okay, Marcus's question in terms of, Bill, what's the deal with fat? Okay, and he was specifically saying, Bill, what's the deal with saturated or unsaturated or polysaturated or monosaturated fat? Here's the deal, okay? The deal is they've given us a bad hand, Marcus, because for so long, up until I think it was this year or last year, everyone was under the impression that saturated fats were bad for you, right? Everyone was saying, no, you can't eat saturated fats because they clog your arteries and they give you heart disease. Well, they just came out with the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition just this year. They just came out with a report that shows that that's bullshit. It doesn't happen. Saturated fats, number 1, does not clog your arteries. Number 2, it does not give you heart disease. Now, understand that it doesn't prevent heart disease and it doesn't prevent arteriosclerosis as well, or all that other plaque that builds up, but it's not the bad guy. Actually, saturated fats are good. And they had this individual, after the American Association of Clinical Nutrition came up with this report, there's this guy online, I think his name is Andrew Whale. He's like the guru of all the information stuff on fat and nutrition. And he just came right out and said, you know what? It's not right. Saturated fats are actually good for you. Now, what does that mean? In terms of saturated fats, folks, we're talking about fats that, like in beef, in cheese, in eggs. I know it sounds really weird, but that's what they've proved. Saturated fats will not clog your arteries, so you don't have to worry about that, folks. Now, you may be asking yourself, okay, for example, I have to look at my notes here. Saturated fats, for example, are stable. What that means is they actually neutralize any of the free radicals. Now, free radicals, for those of you who don't know, free radicals are those things that tear down your body. They make you age. They tear up your joints, all that kind of stuff. So it's not a good thing. So actually, saturated fats help reduce the prevalence of free radicals, and it's very stable. Okay, unsaturated fats are very unstable. So what that means is the unsaturated fats are actually, those are the fats that when you're looking at room temperature, they actually, they're like hydrogenated fats. You've heard about that. At room temperature, they become solid. Okay? Now, when they become solid, that's a bad thing. That's really bad for your arteries. The other fat, saturated fat, is actually good for you. Okay? I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail because I don't want to bore you and I want to get on to some other questions, but just understand that, okay? That saturated fats are good for you. Now, here's the misconception. People get confused because you have monosaturated fats, okay? Now, what monosaturated fats are things like avocados, flaxseed, salmon. These are saturated fats and monosaturated fats. Polysaturated fats are things like nuts and seeds. So these are the good things, okay? Trans fats are things like pizza dough, donuts, ice cream. Those are the bad things, or those olives, those oils that get hard at room temperature. So those are the ones you want to stay away from, okay? Types of fats that you want to eat, because people are thinking, okay, well, look, I don't want to have eggs, I don't want to have the yolk. Folks, they have a lot of water-soluble vitamins inside of saturated fats that you can't get anyplace else. So you want to make sure you're eating saturated fats. Now, if you're curious as to a list of saturated fats, just go ahead and ring in here, and I'll go ahead and give you some information on that. You okay, dude? I know, we'll get down to the moment, okay? Once again, let me just take a small break here. I'm answering Marcus's question here, and Billy's here just to go ahead and be my guide. This is Bill Calhoun's Facebook Live. I'm bashing all the body and brain bullshit, okay? So let's get back to the question. So anyway, in terms of hydrogenated fats, that's exactly, think about it this way. This is how I think about it. Hydrogenated. Boom! It's like some big explosion, all right? A hydrogen bomb. Well, that's highly unstable, right? And it's man-made. Well, guess what? Hydrogenated fats, like trans fats, are exactly the same thing. They're hydrogenated, they're very unstable, they're man-made. So you want to stay away from those. Saturated fats are a good thing, folks, okay? So you stick with those. All right. Benefits, okay? The benefits, Marcus, of the saturated fats. Number one, say, Marcus, you're a guy. Okay, and I know that you're involved in fitness over there in California. So in terms of testosterone, you want to stay with your saturated fats because that actually helps your hormone balance. Now, women, don't worry because you need testosterone also. Everyone needs it. It's just that you don't have it as much as guys do, all right? So the thing is, folks, is that saturated fats help your hormone balance, all right? It also, now get this, okay, it also helps your sex drive. All right, because those hormones come up. So you want to have those saturated fats. There's a lot of good things going on with that. As I mentioned earlier, they help in terms of the free radicals. And here's another thing that they help with. They help with actually boosting the omega-3 fats in your body. Omega-3s and omega-6s. Let me just give you a quick 1-2 on what that is. Omega-3s are things like in salmon and fish. They're the good fats that that decrease inflammation in your body. So let's say, for example, you have joint pain. Let's say, for example, you're obese. When you have omega-3s, that's a good thing because the inflammation in your body will be reduced. Omega-6s, on the other hand, they actually they're inflammatory. Now, you need both of those, but you need a balance. The problem with our society today is that they get omega-3s to a lesser degree than the omega-6s, okay? Like in your fast foods, your processed foods, and these types of things. And so that's why we're running around all the time, inflamed. So that's what the saturated fats do. They help promote omega-3 fatty acids so that we reduce inflammation, and that's a very good thing, okay? Water solubility, I mentioned that earlier. Saturated fats have tons and tons of water-soluble vitamins in it, especially vitamin C and vitamin A. And if you're thinking about carrots for vitamin A, oh man, if you eat beef, you eat liver, for example, liver has a lot more vitamin A than you would ever get in carrots. And it's just structured differently, okay? And the last thing, which you guys really want to know in terms of going out to see your doctor, is HDL and LDL levels. Now, high density lipids and low density lipids, you don't need to know that. You just need to know HDL and LDL. When your LDL is high, that's a bad thing. When your HDL is low, that's a bad thing, okay? So what you want is your HDL to be high and your LDL to be low. So it helps your cholesterol profile, okay? And that's what saturated fats do. Saturated fats help with that, okay? So that's the thing in terms of saturated fat. That's the thing with Billy's elephant and Ninja Turtle. Now let's get on to some questions, and then I'll bring Claire on board in just a moment. Okay, Claire, if you're out there, can you just go ahead and bing in and say hello? Okay, all right. This is a question from Nicole. Now this is slightly different. Nicole, hold on. Let me pull up your entire question here. So Nicole had a question about cooking in the kitchen for her children, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, Nicole, I'm going to pull up the question because your question was quite long and I cut off a little bit of it. So let me just, okay, hold on a moment. Let me get that question. Hey, Claire, okay, good, you're on board. I'll get you on in just a bit. Just let me get Nicole's question. Okay, I'm going on my iPad. Nicole, give me just a moment. I'm going on my iPad here to pick up your question. Let me get out of here. Okay. You guys, like I said, this is raw. This is what we do. This is how I roll in terms of all this stuff. So you're just going to have to be patient with what I'm doing here, okay? And the thing is that the reason why I like this is it's not pre-produced. So let's just be natural, relaxed. That's an excuse for saying Bill doesn't have his shit together, okay? Okay, here we go. All right, let me find your question, Nicole. Okay. All right, okay. Well, Nicole, what I'm going to do is I cut off part of your question. You're going to hate me, right? Because I asked you to repost your question again, so please forgive me. Nicole says, how to do homemade from my kitchen with muffins made with not so healthy white flour and sugar fare against commercially made cereals and chocolate spreads. I make muffins for my kids to get them to actually eat breakfast before school. Okay, now that's the part where I cut off the rest of the question because I have to take a look at it, and if I come out of here, I'm afraid I'm going to lose everyone. Okay, so anyway, Nicole, I'm just how to make. Okay, I'm assuming, Nicole, that you're asking how to make homemade foods. Like muffins and cakes and these types of things, and how is it compared to like packaged cakes and cookies and all these types of things? That's a great question, Nicole. And here's the thing with all of that. Sugar is not invariably bad for you if you use the most natural sources. For example, if you're using molasses, if you're using brown sugar, the less processed, the better. Now, it's still man-made because most of it is made out of corn syrup. Most of the sugar is refined. But at the same time, we live on this planet Earth and people use sugar. So it's not that sugar in and of itself is bad. It's the amount of sugar. And the amount of sugar that they put in processed foods is far in excess than what we do when we're cooking at home. So when you're making a cake, if you're using sugar, if you're using fat, since we're talking about fat today, chances are you're going to be using a recipe. In that recipe, you decide on how sweet you want it to be. But when foods are processed, you have to understand the food industry needs to sell product. And so what they do is they hyper inject the processed sugars inside of foods. Now, what does that do? That does all kinds of things biologically, yeast, all these things, bacteria, and obesity and functions inside of our body. That's what happens. And we can't control that. We don't know how much sugar they're putting into things, but you do when you're cooking or you're baking things. At the same time, fat. You know that if it calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil in whatever you're doing, you can't be assured that when you pick up lean cuisine meal out of the supermarket that it has only 1 or 2 tablespoons. Plus, you don't know what kind of fat they're using, right, Nicole? What if they're using hydrogenated trans fats, right? That's what we were talking about. Because they're trying to use the cheapest fat forms. The cheapest fat forms are the hydrogenated or the unsaturated fats. So you, on the other hand, you can choose coconut oil, you can choose olive oil, you can choose canola oil, you can choose any of these, or butter, okay, better yet, butter, to put inside your recipe. So that is already healthier. Now, if you want me to say that baking breads and cookies and all these types of things are good for your children, or saying, Bill, are these okay? Well, they're better than the store-bought stuff for the reasons that I just mentioned, Nicole. However, they're not whole foods, right? Because you're mixing all that stuff together. They're not whole foods. So I totally get where you're coming from because you have children and you got to run a household, and I totally understand that. So when you're doing it, better bet to make it all yourself from scratch. That's key. Okay, let me get to your next question here, Nicole. And Nicole, if you have some more clarification that you need on that, just go ahead and click in below here. All right. When purchasing canned, commercially made food, i.e. baked beans, ketchup, etc., the available variants are regular. Okay, the available variants are regular or low sugar or low sodium or organic. Which variant is better? Yes. Okay. Way to go, Nicole. So here's the thing with canned foods. The first thing I'd like you to do is turn around the can or turn around the package. If there are more than 4 ingredients on the can or the package, then you have to really second guess whether or not you should buy that. Because chances are after those 4, I typically say 5 ingredients at max. But let's just use 4, okay? After 4 ingredients, chances are you don't even know how to pronounce half the stuff that's on there, much less ever seen it before in the natural world, right? Because it has a tendency to have chemicals and processed stuff in it. They start putting all these things in order to make sure that whatever packaged food that you have will have a long shelf life. And it's the cheaper ingredients to be palatable to people so that people will buy. So that's the thing with that. Now, in terms of which variants are better, now here's the thing. Whenever you find, okay, so I just want to make sure it says or low sugar. Okay, I'm going to go tit for tat on all of these, Nicole, so that you'll get it. When it says low sugar, think about the reverse, because that's typically what they do. They use low sugar in order to sell. It's a marketing ploy, okay? It's kind of like a bullshit, because you know what they're doing? It doesn't mean it's healthier. Because in order to replace low sugar, many times people have to put, or industries have to put fat in it, because they have to make sure that it has a shelf life. They have to make sure that it's palatable. So what they'll do is if they're lowering the sugar, chances are they'll raise the fat. And like I said before, we don't know what kind of fat they're putting in there, all right? And so calorically speaking, it doesn't mean that it's healthier for you in terms of calories. It doesn't mean it's healthier for you in terms of what they put inside in terms of ingredients. Turn the package around and look at it. When it says low sodium, okay, low sodium, so what? Now, the reason why most people have a problem with high sodium is because there's too much sodium to begin with. So basically when they say low sodium, chances are that it was very, very high and it just went down to a not so high but still high level, okay? Here again, marketing ploy. Low sodium does not necessarily mean it's healthy, okay? And then the next one, organic. Great, Nicole. This is some bullshit that people get caught up in all the time when they label something as organic. When they label it as organic, if it's in text and it doesn't have an organic certified label on there, it's typically the green one with the little whatever it is, squeegee inside there, then it's not organic. And people get away from this. They're using it because they think that it'll sell more products. So be very careful in terms of organic. Now, if you can find something that's organic, and you can find something that has naturally occurring sugars inside of it, and you can find something that has naturally occurring sodium in it, then that's great. But then you got to be careful, okay, Nicole? Like I said last week, you have to be careful, because even if you have all of these, it depends on where they're grown. Because if they have heavy metals in there, then those metals will get into your system, and then you have some issues. And that says nothing about fat, sodium, or sugar. Those heavy metals can be there, and organic products can pick that up because it leaches it from the ground soil. Okay? So I hope that made some sense to you, Nicole, and I hope I answered your question. Like I said, folks, plunk in your questions here, and at the same time, Nicole, if you have any more questions, just go ahead and list them. Okay, now let me try. Okay, hold on, Nicole. If we have, okay, we have some questions coming in here. Okay, Nicole has another question. Nicole, you're like on fire today, huh? Okay, she asks, if we have more omega-3s than omega-6s, is that a problem? No, Nicole, it is not a problem. Chances are that you're already having way too many omega-6s if you're eating processed foods. Ultimately, in a perfect world, omega-3s and omega-6s must be balanced, right? Because, think about this, if you're sick, omega-3s will reduce inflammation, but you need the process of healing to occur, and so therefore you need inflammation. That means that you need blood going to the injured part of your body. So if you have no omega-6s, that's not going to happen, and you're not going to heal. But like I said, Nicole, that's in a perfect world. Nowadays, chances are the omega-6s are multiple times more than what you need, and multiple times more than the omega-3s. Omega-3s are usually the more expensive foods and the whole foods. Fish, flaxseed, nuts, these types of foods. And you can't overdose on these because the omega-3s have saturated fat, which will naturally satiate you and you won't eat more. On the other hand, omega-6s, the processed foods, they will initiate a hunger and craving drive that make you eat more calories, more obesity. You get where I'm coming from? Okay? So because our world is not perfect, omega-3s and omega-6s do not come equal. Get more of your omega-3s. In a perfect world, if you're living on a farm someplace, or you're living out in the forest, you just want to make sure you're balanced, but you don't even have to think about it, Nicole, because it naturally happens, a balance in the foods and the whole foods that you eat. Okay? Okay. Now, Claire, let me see if I can bring you over here. I'm going to see. Okay, Claire, I'm going to try to invite you in. Now, how did they allowed me to do this before on a different way? Claire, you know what's happening here is because I'm on this different platform, it's giving me a bit of an issue. So let me, okay, hold on, Claire. I'm going to try to do something. Folks, we're going to try to bring in Claire Francis from Fitness Rations. Okay. And, all right, it's not Claire on this straight up platform. I'm not getting an option to bring you in. That is a bummer. Hang on. Am I coming in on my... Okay, so Claire, here's what we're going to do, Claire, okay? I'm gonna have to talk to you again because I know that we didn't hook up until like last minute. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get this straightened out and we're going to bring you on next week if I don't find a way to click you on here right now. Is that okay, Claire? Can you just go ahead and click in the comment box there? Okay, and let me know. All right. Okay, well, I'll wait for that. I'll wait for that response, Claire. But anyway, Claire is from Fitness Rations, and they are actually introducing a new lean meals for him and her, which is really quite cool. I'm getting ready to start the program as well because I'm going on a new challenge later on. So that's one of the things we're going to do later on. Okay, so Claire, if we don't get to you this time, like I said, sure, no problem. Okay, and that's what we'll do, Claire. We'll get all this stuff settled, and we'll work out all the logistics later on because my other software crashed again. I should probably just rely strictly on Facebook Live. Okay, folks, we are coming on the half-hour mark. Billy is getting tired. If we don't have any more questions here, I'm going to say ta-ta for now. Let you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope I addressed your concerns, Marcus, Nicole. Those were great questions. Every week at 10 o'clock in Singapore, 10 a.m. in the morning, and it's 7 p.m. on a Thursday night in the United States, we're going to have Bill's Facebook Live, and I'm answering your questions. I'm breaking through all the body and brain bullshit. This is all about you. It's not about me. So make sure you click follow. Whenever those flags of an upcoming Facebook Live is coming, just go ahead and click on that box that says reminder. When you click on that reminder, it'll constantly update you as the Friday nears, or the Thursday if you're in California, so that you can, be right on board when we get ready to start. Okay? All right. So, let's see. Yes, Billy. Yes, Joanne. Billy is getting. Actually, it's not sleepy. He's just kind of bored. He just ate. Okay. Billy, want to sit up? Sit. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sit. There you go. Okay. So we'll have Billy. High five. No, sit. High five. Good boy. Okay. So Billy is gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna go ahead and let him sleep because he's gonna sleep off his meals. All right. And I'll say goodbye to you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. I'll see you next week at this time, 10 a.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. USA time on a Thursday. Bill's Facebook Live. I'm out. Take care, folks.